You are called upon to submit yourself to the Taint for the greater good. From this moment forth, you are a Grey Warden.
I understand.
So it's done. My father lives, and for good or ill, he is now a Grey Warden. Thank you for giving him the opportunity to undergo the ritual. It couldn't have been easy. He does indeed. And my future husband is upstairs, no doubt glaring out of the window and pouting. He is so much like Kalen, it's disturbing. Maybe. He certainly seems more determined than I recall. You're doing, I imagine. Arl Eamon has left for Redcliffe, and tells me that our armies have almost fully gathered there. I will be heading there myself. Bring your companions, and join us at Redcliffe Castle as soon as you are able. You have united for Elden Warden. Now we face the Blight.
Oh, there you are. Come to offer congratulations, I suppose? Maybe you intend to throw me a party to celebrate my engagement. Neither do I, really. But it's too late for that now, I think. I don't know why you made Loghain a Grey Warden, but he's tainted it for me. The man is a traitor, and you gave him the greatest honor I can think of. There is no way to make that right! No way at all. But why should I complain, right? I'm the king now, and with a beautiful fiancée who is going to remind me of her father every time I look at her. I'll make the best of it, I guess. I'm not going to roll over and let Honora rule, that's for sure. Well, good luck, I suppose. You have a lot to do now. And so do I.
Let's not spend more time here than we must.
So, is it Lord Loghain?
I'm no longer a Terran, nor even a knight. Address me without a title as you would any other Grey Warden.
So just Loghain, then.
Correct. What's on your mind?
You know who I am, yes? I was one of the crows you hired to kill the Grey Wardens.
I thought you looked familiar.
Well, I just wanted to report that I failed my mission, Loghain.
You don't say.
I'm terribly broken up over it.
Well, thank you kindly for informing me. I passed your test. Fate has a twisted sense of humor, it seems. I suppose you think I'm some sort of monster. More so as I survived your ritual. You keep striking at me, and I just refuse to die decently. Oh? What was all that nonsense with the Darkspawn blood and mages then? A puppet show? It seems to me that magic has already failed. I'd recommend a sharp knife in the kidneys next time. Less impressive, but it gets the job done. I suppose it does lack the element of surprise. Well, what shall we do to settle things between us, then? Yes, well, you can thank me for that later. I don't know what concession you want from me, Warden. I expect my word will not satisfy you. Indeed, I'd almost forgotten that. Thank you for the reminder. I think it's time we got to the point here. What do you want from me? I can't imagine that you spared my life in the Landsmeet by accident. You have some plan in mind. Fortunate for me, then, that I've always been a man to take chances. I'm hardly blind to the irony of this situation. All of this can rightly be called my fault. Whether or not you can do better remains to be seen. But if you can make this the end, Warden, I will follow you, I swear it. Andraste, help us then. We should speak no more of this at present. Time's wasting. I shall do.
Stay behind. It's you again. Please don't do anything to me. I've only been trying to help.
Don't be scaring good Master Laven. He saved us 3 times over.
Thank you, Warden. I will, I swear to you. Everyone, let's move. The Warden has more important matters to attend to.
Warden?
There is no glory in bloodshed!
Did you want something? Anora always did have a flair for the dramatic. She could have been a bard. Anora is a politician at heart. There's one thing she knows. It's how to move people. Well, I'm sure having you come to her rescue gave Anora no small amount of pleasure. Is that a serious question? Is there someone else you know of who could stand up to the Landsmeet? Go ahead. So far as anyone could tell, she was the undisputed monarch of the whole world. She'd fall, skin her knees, and command them to stop stinging. It may have worked, too. She bleeds just like anyone. Or are you surprised that my daughter ever fell down? If you're expecting some particular insight into my daughter's character, I'm afraid I'm probably not the best source. I'm hardly impartial. You think so? I'm not certain of that myself. I think you already know the answer to that. Guarin sits in between the Brazilian forest and the sea. It's far from the old Tevinter roads. The village by our keep was never even as big as Redcliffe. There are always a few children around. Charcoal burners, sons and daughters mostly, or the children of servants. They formed into noisy gangs in the courtyard for their games. But Anora never joined them. Perhaps it was. She read a great deal. She followed her mother like a shadow about the gardens. She practiced archery and sword play. She was never idle. Kalen. He was a bit younger than she was, but Anora would lead him about the palace like a puppy on a leash, deep in adventures together. I believe the two of them once fought an army of ogres in the wine cellar. That was their explanation for all the broken bottles, anyway. Because it was vacant, and though it's off the trade routes close to Denerim, it was a good place for children to grow up. Solitude isn't terrible, you know. She had a free reign over the woods. But this is not really the time or place to discuss my daughter. We have work to do. Go ahead. I suppose that depends on how much of the kingdom was left by then. Once the border was secure, the army would have regrouped to push back the Darkspawn in the south. It's easy to say now. When Chevaliers were massing on our doorstep, things were a little less clear. We couldn't, especially after Ostagar. It wasn't an ideal plan, but it seemed necessary at the time. There was never any question in my mind that Honora would remain on the throne. After all, who else was there? Marek had no brothers or sisters. Most of the Therans were publicly hung by Megran when he took power. Go ahead. Eamon is a shrewd man. He'll be advising the boy. He'll do all right, I suppose. I was trying to be polite. Your friend may get good advice from Eamon, but he's weak. All the bands know it. You can see them. A pack of wild dogs waiting for a bone. The first chance they get, they'll pry concessions out of him. They'll pick at the throne until it's only a gilded chair with no power or authority at all. Honora, as you may have already noticed, is clever enough to manipulate the bands. She can make alliances and play them against one another to get what she wants. This discussion profits no one. I may be wrong. I will certainly hope so. By all means. Honora is a good queen. She has been for 5 years now. I am a bit, but she'll do well. I have to say that anyway, for if word gets back to her that I said otherwise, she'll be furious. In all seriousness, Honora is formidable. You should know that by now. I'm not a seer. If I could predict the future, I wouldn't be here now. Honora is strong enough to endure. She may make a few mistakes along the way, but she'll survive them. But this isn't the time to discuss such things. By all means. Hate doesn't describe it. I've seen painted, masked lords beat an old farmer to death with riding crops. To this day, I don't know why. Is that hate? I saw good, sensible men fight armored chevaliers with nothing. No weapons, no armies, not even hope of success to see the occupation end. Is that hate? Nothing about war is right. It's a force of nature, like rain, or wind, or faith. It simply exists, and we deal with its consequences. It's a fine idea, peace. But it isn't part of who we are. Do you think the Maker abandoned us on a whim? No. He left us because we deserved it. You won't believe me when I tell you this, but it doesn't matter. I never fought because I hated Orlais. This was for Merrick and for Reldon. I didn't want to start a war, I wanted to stop one. I failed. So I suppose my intentions don't amount to much. I made a tactical error. The past is always with us. It's in our bones and our blood, and we wear it on our skin. You can think otherwise, but you'll never get far without it. Should I? How do you give up what's grown into you? In any case, there's no use discussing this. We have much work left to do. Go ahead. He was my friend. If he'd wanted to conquer the Fade, I would have led the charge. I was hunting, well, poaching, to be entirely honest, when a boy my own age came stumbling out of the woods. He was so dirty, you'd have thought he'd been dug up out of the ground. He was bloody, exhausted, and obviously being hunted. I offered to take him to my father's camp. That's a story for another time, I'm afraid. I've gone on too long as it is. There are men who inspire such devotion that everyone around would lay down their lives for him. And there are men who would come and go from this world, and no one notes it. What makes them so? Your guess is as good as mine. Merrick was remarkable. That's all I can say of him. He nearly did. Merrick was never one to avoid his duty. And given his preference, he would have acknowledged his son no matter the circumstance. But he had more than his honor to think of. It would have ruined Rowan, after all. She'd be reduced to a concubine in the eyes of our neighbors, and put Kaelin's status as heir in question. So Merrick made the hard choice. Eamon offered to raise the boy, and that was that. Kings don't get the luxury of escaping politics. But we've been idle long enough. We should get moving. Go ahead. Of course.
What's on your mind? Is something troubling you? No one said it would be easy. You are one of the 2 surviving Grey Wardens in Ferelden. You defend all of us, and much rests on your shoulders. It may not mean much to you, but thank you for having the courage to continue to fight. And that gives me hope.
It speaks. It has already vanquished one of its enemies. I am most startled. Truly, I would have expected that the traitor would have defeated it. Perhaps it would have been put in prison, or drawn and quartered. I was curious to find out which. Most ingenious. It has made an ally out of an enemy. Can it do the same with a Darkspawn, I wonder? Does it wish me to leave? I can, though I see no reason to go. No doubt. Without me, it would have to carry its inventory on its own. Perhaps we should continue. Its chances of success are small enough without further dawdling.
Well, aren't you sweet and attentive? Of course. Wait, you want to talk about us? Is there something bothering you? Not going to work? You're talking about us? What's wrong? Don't give me that! Don't you dare! I want an explanation right now! Life is never certain. Nothing is certain but the love you have for others and the love they have for you. Love is that constant star on the horizon that leads you to safe harbor. Love, friendship, these are the things you hold on to. And so you are abandoning our love? Where's the logic here? Death will come for us all, eventually. But does this mean we should never try to love? Every moment I have with you is a gift from the Maker. I do not want to lose this.
So, you're a Ferelden girl who decided to live in Orlais.
I did not decide to live in Orlais. My mother took me there with her. I know how you feel about the Orlesians, but I am not one of them.
You may as well be. You grew up there, your views and values are theirs. I've heard you speaking with the others. You find Ferelden unsophisticated, barely civilized.
No, this is not true.
You're painted to look like you're a Ferelden, but scratch the surface and find nothing but Orlais underneath.
wish.
I suppose I shouldn't be surprised at your success. You beat me. Perhaps you can do this after all. Do you want something? I suppose I have a moment. Of course.
I did not thank you. It occurs to me now that you have freed me. I did not think to thank you for it. No matter why you did it, it was done, and I the benefactor. So, thank you. You say that so quickly, and yet it is an odd thing for me to hear. In the Crows, we do not have friends, and yet here you are, and I cannot help but consider you such. Then allow me to say this. What we are doing here, stopping the Blight, I cannot think of anything I have ever done which is so worthy. I intend to see this through to the end with you. After all, someone must take responsibility for preventing your untimely death. A suitable task for a friend, yes. Now, isn't that odd? Just a year ago, Taliesin was telling me, Zevran, why are your plans always so horrid? Planning has never been my strong suit. Now, killing and lovemaking. Killing and lovemaking and retorts. Those I'm better at. I forget where I was going with this. Well, no matter.
There you are. I was thinking, we've been through a lot together now. We're like old war buddies. So I figured why not invite you to share a drink, huh? A drink from my own stash, my family's recipe, and dedicated to my comrades in arms. Yes! The Warden steps up! How do you feel? Oh no, the rest is for me. You'd need to do something really unspeakable to get into the rest of my stash. I just wanted to tell you, after all we've been through, you're like family to me. Closest thing I've had in years. Oh, Warden, I do believe I'm getting all misty. But that could be because those beans are getting chatty, if you know what I mean.
It has occurred to me that I have been... Excuse me. This is not easy. It occurs to me that I have been less than charitable with it since it reanimated me. I have come to realize that it has been good to me. You have been good to me, even though you had no control rod to enforce obedience. I have never had one before, so I don't know how to thank you for being, you know. Exactly so. I followed you expecting to find answers to my questions, but I think I have found something better. Oh, let us not speak of this awkward bonding moment ever again. To the road.
What have you there? A mirror? It is just the same as the mirror which Flemeth smashed on the ground so long ago. It is incredible that you found one so like it. I am uncertain what to say. You must wish something in return, certainly. You say that as if I should be accustomed to such a thing. I have never received a gift. not one which did not come at a price. I suppose I should say thank you for the gift. 'Tis most thoughtful. Truly.
I see your friendship with the Grey Warden is going very well.
Is there a reason you say that with a smirk, elf?
I think you know. You and I are not so dissimilar after all. I know what you are doing, lovely woman.
And what is it that you think I am doing? Besides the Grey Warden, that is.
Biding your time, naturally. But for what, I wonder?
Why don't you ask him if you're so curious?
I doubt that he even knows. I am content to wait and see for myself, however.
Then don't bring it up again.
More enemies ahead.
Crows of yours, Zevran. Are they as extraordinary as you claim?
They all but rule over my homeland. Do you find that extraordinary?
If true, are they so powerful simply because they are very good at what they do? Or is there some secret to their power?
If there were a secret, it would only remain so if it were not told, my dear.
You are no longer bound to such a code? Or do you believe their wrath will be greater than it is, should you speak out of turn?
It may be that I simply do not wish to tell you. You get the most delightful wrinkle in your brow when you are curious.
I see. You are impossibly frustrating. You know this.
I do. It is part of my charm, or so I'm told.
Have you heard much about the Grey Wardens of old? Griffins. Alas. That seems to be the only thing people remember from the tales. The mighty flying mounts that bore the Grey Wardens into battle. You are still fierce warriors. You still sense the Darkspawn. But no one cares or remembers what the Grey Wardens did for them centuries ago. It was said that watching the Wardens ride in on their white griffins was enough to rouse a weary heart and put the dance back in the step of an old man. The Grey Wardens were powerful, feared and respected, but they also inspired the common people. I remember a tale that was told to me many years ago. The Blight had ravaged the land for months, and the armies of the great kings had amassed for one last stand. As the sun burst through the clouds that boiled and churned in the dark sky above, it illuminated a vast sea horde of Darkspawn, with the archdemon at its head. And it was then, when courage seemed to fail, and all lost to death and despair, that the Grey Wardens came. They arrived with the beating of wings like mighty war drums and stood before the armies of men. The Grey Wardens, grim and fearless, marched forth, ever between the men and the encroaching Darkspawn. They formed a shield of their own bodies and held that line until the archdemon was dead and the last Darkspawn lay trampled in the dirt. And then, demanding neither reward nor recognition for their sacrifice, the Grey Wardens departed. When the clouds finally rolled back and the sun shone full upon the blighted ground, the great kings knew that they had lost no men, and none of their blood had been spilled. You are observant. This is a tale about no battle the Grey Wardens have fought, and yet about them all. They have always defended us from the Darkspawn, taking losses so we do not have to. People may have forgotten over the centuries, but nothing has changed. This knowledge has been blessing and burden to Grey Wardens past, and now it shall be your blessing and your burden. What's on your mind? No, you won't. Because you were not looking for the answer, but for someone to tell you that in spite of it, you'll be all right. You wonder sometimes, don't you? If your life would be better if you weren't who you are. When I was a young woman in the tower, I came to the realization that the circle would be my life, and I would know no other. Family, love, a simple life. These were things that others took for granted, that I would never have. It made me very moody. All I could think of was being trapped in that tower with no way out and no end in sight. I started hating my life and myself, and one night I found myself in the tower's chapel. I was seeking refuge, maybe answers. I must have looked tearful or made some noise, because the revered mother came out and decided to speak to me. And because I had no one else to talk to, I talked to her. I must have said many silly things, but she told me that the Maker puts us all on our paths for a reason, and fighting our intended course is what causes so much anguish. I thought the old biddy was full of rubbish. I was 15, maybe 16, and I knew everything. So I left, but I always found my way back to that chapel. And as the years passed, I began to see the truth of her words. We were supposed to be polar opposites, mage and priest. But we weren't. There was much about us that was the same. The revered mother had lived in the chantry all her life, as I had been in the tower for all of mine. She taught me that you can find your family in the people around you, that you can love your work and find fulfillment in duty. And there is joy even in self-sacrifice. If you put others before yourself, then their well-being is yours, and their happiness is your happiness. You can scream and cry and be angry about life as a Grey Warden, or you can accept it and allow yourself to see the good in it. This is your choice.
What do you want? I don't know. I guess we're pretty good friends now, right? I just keep thinking about all that slag with Branka. How I've turned out. I always said I was this way because she left, but I think maybe she left because of how I am. I've tried 27 new kinds of ale, and learned I'm just the right height to give a human girl a good time. That doesn't make me a good man. Enough wallowing in my own filth. Did you want to talk about something?
Your wish? Whatever you'd like to ask. Yes, I suppose it is time. You have been a good friend to me after all. There is no reason to be silent. There is a reason I accepted this mission in Ferelden, far away from home, and it had nothing to do with any thought that I might leave the Crows. Meeting you, after all, was quite an accident. My last mission before this one did not end well. You must realize that until that day I was cocky and arrogant. I was the best crow in Antiva, I believed, and I bragged of my conquests often, both as an assassin and lover. Indeed, I was often told I was insufferable, right before I ended up in bed with someone. Such is how it was. One of the crow masters grew tired of my boasting. My bid for an incredibly difficult mark was accepted, much to my surprise. A wealthy merchant with many guards and completely silent. Taliesin agreed to be part of my team, as well as an elven lass named Rina. She was a marvel. Tough, smooth, wicked. Eyes that gleamed like justice. Everything I thought I desired. Rina was special. I had closed off my heart, I thought, but she touched something within me. It frightened me. When Taliesin revealed to me that Rina had accepted a bribe from the merchant, told him of our plan, I readily agreed that she needed to pay the price and allowed Taliesin to kill her. Rina begged me not to. On her knees, with tears in her eyes, she told me that she loved me and had not betrayed us. I laughed in her face and said that even if it were true, I didn't care. I convinced myself it was. Taliesin cut her throat, and I watched her bleed as she stared up at me. I spat on her for betraying the crows. When Taliesin and I finally assassinated the merchant, we found the true source of his information. Rina had not betrayed us, after all. I wanted to tell the crows what we had done, our mistake. Taliesin convinced me not to. He said it would be a foolish waste. So we reported that Rina had died in the attempt. We needn't have bothered. The crows knew what we had done. The master who disliked me told me so to my face. He said the crows knew, and they didn't care. And one day, my turn would come. To rub it in my face, perhaps. That I was nothing. That she was nothing. You once asked why I wanted to leave the crows. In truth, what I wanted was to die. What better way than to throw myself at one of the fabled Grey Wardens? And then, this happened. And here I am. It feels good to speak of it to someone. I swore I never would. Whatever it is I sought by leaving Antiva, I think I have found it. I owe you a great deal. Let us return to your mission, shall we? Suddenly, I do not feel like standing about.
I am listening. It doesn't have better things to do. I do not sleep, so yes, and I thank it for reminding me. Try to imagine, if it will, what it would be like to be surrounded by nothing but boring peasants, all oblivious to it. And then there were the birds. A whole village full of pigeons and ravens and sparrows all perching on me day in and day out. Those foolish villagers would spread birdseed near me, drawing the birds, because they thought having birds perch on me was quaint. Quaint! If there hadn't been the occasional kind soul to scour me clean, I don't care to discuss this anymore.
Your mother is supposedly the one called Flemeth, the very witch from legend. Is that not true?
There is nothing supposed about it. Flemeth is my mother.
I was more doubtful of the legend rather than your relationship to this woman. Anyone can claim a name after all.
You're welcome to ask her if you ever meet her. You're just her type.
Oh, elven and handsome?
The sort that will never be missed.
Sounds intriguing if you ask me.
You assassin types have a death wish, I see.
Only the really good ones.
I have something for you. The market district is a whole sight better because of what you've done for us. I know this may not be much, but it's an extra thanks. A lot of folks swallow whatever lies are fed to them, but us believers will try and spread word about you and the Wardens. Thanks.
You are much taller than...
Am I? You expected me to be short?
Well, you are also younger than I imagined. Great generals are supposed to be old men who sit far from the battlefield.
I've never been nor hope to be a great general, then.
No? I suppose that explains your loss at Ostagar, then.
Find everything you need? Deal? Oh, I don't know what you mean. But if anything interesting happens, feel free to come back and consider that chest yours. Payment? Oh, just make sure you drop by from time to time. Now, if you'll excuse me. If I could have a moment. You've been busy traveling all over, and such tragic news you keep bringing. I was wondering if you'd check up on one more person. I'm sure you'll find this scroll quite interesting.
More enemies ahead. No one else.
I see you staring owlishly at me, young lady. Suppose you disapprove of me being here as well?
No, indeed. You are a vast improvement over Alistair. That, however, is not saying a great deal.
So, if the legend of your mother is true, Morrigan, does that mean that the legends of her many daughters are as well?
To be honest, I have no idea. I've never met any sister of mine, nor has my mother spoken of any.
But it could be true, yes? If you exist, there could have been others like you.
Long ago, perhaps. Why?
We have legends of witches in Antiva. One that tells of a witch of the wild, traveled far from her home to settle in the Teleri swamps.
And? You thought I might know this woman?
If one legend can be true, why not another? Who knows how many Morrigans are scattered about Thedas,
It's not something I'd like to contemplate.
Oh? You do not appreciate a little competition from a half-sister or two?
Silence, Elf. It is none of your concern.
I heard there was quite a scuffle in the alleyways. Well done, Warden. You'd be wrong. Our contract had two important jobs. One was to kill the boy's kidnapper, Captain Chase. The other was his rescue. You took care of Chase. And some friends have already returned the boy safely to his father. That I can't say. But in time, I think you'll find out. Crows are hired for their discretion, as well as for their performance. I've nothing more for you. Your payment is in the chest. I hope you find it most satisfying. My superiors want me to convey their thanks. The Crows aren't accepting any new contracts on you. And when this blight ends, we'd love you to visit Antiva to discuss other opportunities. Just remember our offer. We could really use someone with your talents. It's time for me to take a vacation. Caesar has a special stock of wares that might interest you. It was a pleasure working with you, Warden. Luck be to you.
What's on your mind? I will answer to the best of my ability. The Circle is in good hands. Irving knows what to do, and he doesn't need me underfoot. For now, I will support those that battle the Darkspawn. I do feel I left things unfinished in Ostagar. There is so much left to do, and I would be part of it. The Grey Wardens, all 2 of you, need all the help you can get. I will see this through to the bitter end, and after that, if I am still left standing, then I will return to the Circle. Perhaps.
I am listening. It doesn't have better things to do. I did not think it needed to be said. It has never told me what gender it is, has it? Good for it. I am sure that to other creatures as soft and weak as itself, that would be perfectly obvious. The truth is that whatever gender I was is irrelevant now. I am a golem. I have no gender. It will not become an issue. Right. I catch it staring at my behind, and I will feel very awkward. Now, let us crush something soft and watch it fountain blood. That is a girlish thing to want to do, yes?
I've seen you eyeing me when... trying to watch for the moment when I turn on you.
I thought you'd be more likely to attack me in my sleep, actually. Isn't that what you do? Strike when your quarry cannot defend themselves?
You've made your point.
I do not trust you, Logain.
I've become a Grey Warden. I've made promises. If I break them, my life is forfeit.
That does not give me much reassurance.
That's not something I can change.
I will remain wary of you, Logain, for a very, very long time to come.
It's you!
The Grey Warden! Andraste's mercy that you got here when you did. Going to get me. In the castle, I think. The Arl ordered everyone in the village evacuated there this morning, just before the Darkspawn arrived. I thought I could make it to my home and back before they got here, but it took me too long to get down here. What a relief you arrived. By now, yes, they'd have reached the castle walls. I'm going to get out of here before any more of those things arrive. Thank you again.
Fight another day.
My lord, you're here. Thank goodness. Some did, yes, but we were able to close the gates and kill the ones in the courtyard. I was told to watch for your arrival, Warden. Your comrade Riordan arrived just ahead of the Darkspawn attack. He has urgent news for you. There might be stragglers, but you seem to have taken care of most of them out here. That's rather remarkable, really. I was told to watch for your arrival, Warden. Your comrade Riordan arrived just ahead of the Darkspawn attack. He has urgent news for you. I should take you to the hall right away, my lord. They'll be waiting for you there.
It's a relief to see you unharmed. And you as well, Loghain.
Yes, what a pleasure to see you again.
The Darkspawn that attacked Redcliffe were relatively few in number, I'm afraid. It was assumed the Horde was marching in this direction, but that is not true.
Riordan tells us that the bulk of the Horde is in fact heading towards Denerim. They are perhaps 2 days away from the capital.
How certain are we that this is good information?
I ventured close enough to listen in, as it were. I am quite certain.
Word has been sent, but they need more than warning. They need our armies.
There is, I'm afraid, one other piece of news that is of even greater concern. The Archdemon has shown itself. The dragon is at the head of the Horde.
Make her preserve us.
And we won't be able to reach Denerim within 2 days.
We must begin a forced march to the capital immediately with what we have. Denerim must be defended at all costs.
And only the Grey Wardens can defeat the Archdemon. That is why we must go.
Then we march. And hope the army collected here gives you the chance you need. Arleman, how long before the army can set out?
By daybreak, Your Majesty.
Then give the order. The longer we delay, the longer Denerim will be at the mercy of the Horde.
I will give the orders at once, and will notify you the moment we are ready to march.
Excellent.
Then if you and Loghain could meet me before you retire, we have Grey Warden business to discuss.
I will have someone show you to your rooms. I suggest you all get some rest while you can. We will need it. Marrying Alistair to Honora would not have been my first choice. Still, it does keep the Therin bloodline alive, and Honora is a fine ruler. So I suppose I owe you thanks, Warden. All of Ferelden does. We have sent messengers to Orlais. With any luck, the Empress will send us help within a week. I think it entirely possible, however, that she has written Ferelden off as a lost cause already, and will seek to defend her empire first. Perhaps the Grey Wardens of Orlais will be able to march and reach us in time. We should not rely on their arrival, even so.
And now Denerim is under assault by the Darkspawn. The death toll will be staggering. I wish you luck, Grey Warden, for all our sakes.
And what word have we from Orzammar? Has House Claret sent their men, or haven't they? They're stalling, which is as good as a no.
House Clorette's feud with House Romuald has flared up again since their son died in that Deep Roads business. So naturally, they're pleading the need for self-defense.
Fine time to start with that nonsense again. I've half a mind to... Evening to you, Grey Warden. I didn't realize you were still up and about. Nothing that can be dealt with now, I'm afraid. Just one of the houses being thicker than the stone that made them.
Once all of this blight business is done, there will be a reckoning in the Assembly.
They're probably half hoping we'll all wind up dead. That way they'll have one of the strongest forces left in Orzammar.
Enough to face the Darkspawn all on their own, I suppose? That's exactly the kind of half-arsed thinking that got us into the mess after Endron passed.
It was our good fortune that you decided to go to Orzammar when you did, Grey Warden. For all that a surfacer needed our help, I expect we needed yours more. Resting? Who can rest after the march we had just getting here? You tall races have it so easy.
That and we're kept up thinking about the coming battle.
Are things truly that desperate? Do we stand a chance of losing? I hope you're right. Under the open sky is a terrible place to consider dying, that's for sure.
Right. Off to camp with both of you, and keep the drunkenness to a minimum. We've a long way to go yet. Pleasant evening to you, Grey Warden, and good fortune on the field of battle.
You're both here. Good. You're new to the Grey Wardens, and you may not have been told how an archdemon is slain. I need to know if that is so.
It is indeed. I, for one, am most intrigued to hear this.
So it is true. Duncan had not yet told you. I had simply assumed. Tell me, have you ever wondered why the Grey Wardens are needed to defeat the Darkspawn? Were that so, then any skilled warrior would suffice. The Archdemon may be slain, as any other Darkspawn. But should any other than a Grey Warden do the slaying, it will not be enough. The essence of the beast will pass through the taint to the nearest Darkspawn and will be reborn anew in that body. The dragon is thus all but immortal. But if the Archdemon is slain by a Grey Warden, its essence travels into the Grey Warden instead. A Darkspawn is an empty, soulless vessel, but a Grey Warden is not. The essence of the Archdemon is destroyed, and so is the Grey Warden.
The Grey Warden that kills the Archdemon perishes.
Yes. Without the Archdemon, the Blight ends. It is the only way. As far as we know, the transfer of the Archdemon's essence is automatic. If one of us is not present when the killing blow is made, it is all for nothing. There is no other way. For what it's worth, I'm sorry. We keep it secret for the same reason the joining is kept secret. Who would become a Grey Warden if they knew the end that might await them? And yet there must be Grey Wardens. Without us, there is no hope. In Blight's past, when the time came, the eldest of the Grey Wardens would decide which amongst them would take that final blow. If possible, the final blow should be mine to make. I am the eldest, and the taint will not spare me much longer. But if I fail, the deed falls on you. The Blight must be stopped now, or it will destroy all of Ferelden before the rest of the Grey Wardens can assemble. Remember that. But enough. There will be much to do tomorrow, and little enough time to rest before it. I will let you return to your rooms.
Then this will be dealt with soon. One way or the other.
So it will. Let us hope it ends for the better. You should get some sleep before morning. There will be much to do when the army marches.
Do not be alarmed. It is only I. I did not come here to speak of sentimental things. I came here to speak with you. I have a plan, you see. A way out. The loop in your hole. I know what happens when the Archdemon dies. I know a Grey Warden must be sacrificed, and that sacrifice could be you. I have come to tell you that this does not need to be. I know a great many things. How I know is not quite as important as what I am offering you, however. I offer a way out. A way out for all the Grey Wardens, that there need be no sacrifice. A ritual, performed on the eve of battle, in the dark of night. Perhaps, but that price need not be so unbearable, especially if there is much to be gained. All I ask is that you listen to what I have to offer, nothing more. What I propose is this. Lay with me, here tonight, and from our joining, a child will be conceived. The child will bear the taint, and when the Archdemon is slain, its essence will seek the child like a beacon. At this early stage, the child can absorb that essence and not perish. The Archdemon is still destroyed with no Grey Warden dying in the process. Think about what I offer you. The chance to avoid death. Or better yet, the chance to slay the Archdemon and live as a hero. No Grey Warden has ever done this. In return, I conceive a child. One who will be born with the soul of an old god. After this is done, you allow me to walk away. And you do not follow. Ever. The child will be mine to raise as I wish. This is what my mother intended when she sent me with you. She was the one who first gave me this ritual and told me of what I was meant to do. This does not surprise you, does it? Did you not wonder why Flemeth saved your life? Why she aided you? This is why. What is important is that I am offering this to you now. It will work, and it will save your life. Caring for you, as I've come to? That was not part of the plan. But I cannot let what I feel interfere with what I must do. This is important to me. The fact that it may save your life makes me all the more determined to see it done. Please, do not cloud the issue. If you feel anything for me, then accept that it will make what we must do that much easier. After the Archdemon has been slain? No. No, you will never see me again. Refuse my offer, however, and I leave now. This is simply how it must be. As you wish. Ignoring that after one night it could barely be called a child, no, it will not be hurt. It will be changed. Allow me to say that what I seek is the essence of the old god that once was, and not the dark forces that corrupted it. Some things are worth preserving in this world. Make of that what you will. I do not wish to tell you. The child will represent freedom. For an ancient power, a chance to be reborn apart from the taint. Is that not reason enough to do it? I will raise the child apart from the rest of society and teach it to respect that from which it came. Beyond that, you need know nothing else. No, you never will. This is all I ask in return for freeing you from the burden the Grey Wardens have placed upon you. Then you have decided? Why? Because of Leliana? Do you truly believe that she would condemn you or any other Grey Warden to death when it could be avoided? Consider the possibility that Riordan may not be there to make the final blow as he plans. What then? Do you run away? Do you let Loghain take the blow instead? Allow him to die a hero and overshadow you? And what if he does not make it to the Archdemon? I am glad to make this offer to you after all we have meant to each other. Certainly the act of laying together is not such a burden. A wise decision. Come, my love. Put the thoughts of the ritual aside and let us make this last night together one to remember.